I'm so excited to share this conversation with a successful woman in construction with you. Well, some of you might think of construction as a crew of men taking the reins, wearing those hard hats, safety goggles, heavy-duty machinery. You might be wondering what she's doing in a male-dominated industry. And I would let our guest, Miss Antoinette Lashone Goodman-Cooper, Assistant Director for Small Businesses for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, South Atlantic Division, and the Senior Contracting Official, Atlanta, speak for herself. Help me in welcoming Miss Antoinette Lashone Goodman-Cooper to our podcast. Good afternoon, Antoinette. How are you?
I am absolutely marvelous. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Very blessed to have you here. Before I start bombarding you with a ton of questions, and it's just mostly a conversation like the ones we have when we get together.
Okay.
I would like for you to share with the audience and our listeners, introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about you.
Okay. Good afternoon, thriving in construction fans. I am Antoinette Lashone Goodman-Cooper. I am the South Atlantic Division Regional Assistant Director for Small Business. Basically, all of my territory encompasses from Wilmington, North Carolina, down to Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, over as far west as Mobile, Alabama. So I support the South Atlantic Division, as well as the SCO Atlanta, which is physically located here in Atlanta with me. I hold a bachelor's degree in business management, and I'm also a graduate of the Deputy Assistant Director for the Army's Senior Leader Development Program. I have about 31 years plus of federal service, and I love doing what I do.
I know you do.
Yes.
I know you do. There's never a day that I see you without a smile and the energy and the vitality that characterizes that everyone knows. And it's not an easy job. Can you explain a little bit more what is it to be a Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army Senior Leadership? What is to be in that program?
Well, that program is geared for acquisition professionals that exhibit a high level of potential for growth into the senior executive service level. So I was in the second class of the program, of the Senior Leader Development Program back in 2008. It was a wonderful program. Miss Tina Ballard oversaw that program. And like I said, it's for high potential employees that they see great potential in. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. And I think it expanded my desire to continue with government service.
So in your role, I would like many people that are listening to us, they don't really understand what is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, much alone. Some people that will do federal work, they probably do. But can you give a perspective of the mission of the Society of America, not SAMI, but the Army Corps of Engineers? What's their role in general? And as the government starts releasing $1.3 trillion in federal funding, what does that look like for the Army Corps of Engineers, and in your role, the perspective that you can give in simple way?
Okay, well, in simple words, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers is the construction arm for the Army and for the Air Force. Basically, any building that's going to be built on an Army or Air Force base, more than likely, the Corps of Engineers is going to be the agency that does that work. So we do more than just construction. We are also an environmental agency. You're down in Florida, and the Everglades Project, the Everglades Restoration Project, is one of the Corps' biggest environmental type event that we engage in. So, like I said, we do construction, we do environmental remediation, we do anything that deals with waterway also. So we do a lot of stuff.
You do. And I've worked with a lot of agencies. So in my opinion, the Army Corps of Engineers, their role started way years ago, and their impact into infrastructure and construction. The Corps, the way I see it, when the government wants monies to be managed properly and the effectiveness of the process, I mean, for them to obtain the outcome that they want to finish a project on time and on budget, that the taxpayers' dollars are protected, typically the Army Corps of Engineers is involved because of their effectiveness. So my question is, what makes them effective? I mean, if I had a government official listening to us, and if we could add value, because I don't understand, I see a lot of local governments, then their effectiveness is not the same. The selection process, the way they treat the general contractor, the way things are handled, the accountability portion of the process. What makes the Army Corps of Engineers the agency that they are? What is it that they do? If you can say three things that they do as value, as mission, that makes them so invaluable to the government, to the process, to the dollar spending in our construction industry?
Well, first of all, we have over 200 years of doing it. So we've been in the game a really long time. So that's paramount. And we've had over 200 years of honing our expertise and having program managers that really understand what it is that's needed and laying out specs that industry can follow, and also engaging industry from a perspective of knowing that we are not the end all and be all, and that we have to partner with industry to get those great results. I think the fact that we've been in the business a long time, we connect with industry and SAME and our partners to make sure that we are staying on the cutting edge of what's out there. We also always try to make sure that we have the right players. One of our former commanders used to say, make sure that we have the right people on the right seat on the right bus. And that's something that we always try to strive to do, making sure that we have the right people in place to do things that we need accomplished, and that we're being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar and ensuring that the taxpayer is getting truly what's needed to ensure that this country is the best in the nation.
So what I hear, to summarize it, I would say I hear that there's been a focus over time, this experience, leveraging the experience and the learning process. You have learned from success and failures, and they have been able to make that part of the process, improve every day, better, becoming better and better and better.
Absolutely.
I hear also that there is a partnership approach, a focus on partnering with industry, partnering with the Society of American Military Engineers, where we're gathering information from all parts to see how do we make this better for the overall mission.
Absolutely.
And I also hear innovation. You want to be at the forefront of what's new. You do not want to be an obsolete entity that decays with time and with its leadership. I know that there's always changes in the leadership. It's not always the same person forever. Right. So, and I also hear a focus on people and culture.
Absolutely.
Is that a good summary?
Oh, that is an awesome summary. I think we need to get you to come in and do a promo for us.
Well, I believe that's true. Some people have the perception that working for the Army Corps of Engineers as an entity, as a general contractor, it is too much paperwork. I always say that to me it's a great client, because even if I have to travel, it's easier for me, believe it or not, to do work for the Army Corps of Engineers. I mean, across the United States, even in Puerto Rico, where we are working, than locally here in Miami.
Really?
Yes.
And why do you think that is?
And now you're interviewing me, but but I tell you that to me, if the best approach is if the rules of the games are clear and they are outlined, it doesn't matter how difficult they are clear and available to all, but they're not changing as we go, or they're not changing because someone is in that position or someone else. You have an opportunity to be successful, because if you do your job, you're going to get paid.
Absolutely.
And the government, they are very respectful at following the law to pay small businesses within 15 days. And that to me is a great demonstration of a culture of accountability and a culture of embracing the potential and the value that small business have. So to me, it's a win-win. Yes, it's not easy, but I think it's harder not to get paid when you do your job and you have to wait months to get paid.
And I will tell you that getting a mission accomplished on time or before time, within budget or under budget, that's truly a win-win for the government as well as for our part that's out there turning the dirt for us, because we don't turn any dirt. We contract all of our needs out. So we can't ask for anything better than someone that's going to come in and, like you said, do their job and do it well. And I know that
Absolutely.
Lunacon has done an outstanding job on all of the requirements that been put before you.
And we haven't been a perfect company, right? We definitely work really, really hard at becoming better and better every day,
Well, and
right?
I think the fact that they have you as a communicator, that helps a lot. If there's something that's not right, having somebody that can come to the table and talk about what's working, what's not working, and why it's not working, that's helpful.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's I think I have to tell you, I recommend anybody to work for the Army Corps of Engineers. It is not easy, it's not an easy road. It's tough to get in, but once you get in, you're valued and appreciated. And as long as you have that mentality of giving back, so I have to say this, it's not in the script, but I'm very, as a representative of that entity, I have to be express my gratitude because
Absolutely.
you guys do a good job at helping small business. So
Well, thank you. And hopefully the South Atlantic Division
my
is the
favorite,
best in the Corps.
my favorite.
Well, you have to say that because I'm on the line. I know if you get one of my counterparts over, you'll have to say that they're your favorite also. I understand. You just have to give me a little wink every now and again.
So tell me about the contracting part. What makes a great partner in the construction industry? What makes when you guys have to select a partner, a general contractor or a design builder to handle any of your priorities? I think they're all a priority. What is it that you're looking for?
First, the first thing is can you bond? Bonding is one of the first things that we're going to look at. Can't be it large or small. Can you bond this requirement? Then we're going to be looking at, have you done it before? Or if you haven't done this particular thing before, have you done something similar to it before? And when you did you do it well? How did you perform? If there were issues, how did you mitigate the risk that may have come up? Because in the construction field, a lot of things can change. Once you turn that first shovel of dirt, you don't know what's underneath. And when you find stuff that's underneath, what did you do once you found it? Did you engage the program manager to let them know, okay, we got a little change here and we need to address it? And is it going to affect the bottom line, your bottom line, as well as the government's bottom line, be it our either time or price? Those types of things will definitely make or break an action. If you find something and you don't say anything until much later down the line, and it is going to increase the contract value, what have you, that usually is not going to end well. So, of course, that early dialogue is going to keep that contract moving along smoothly. So, like I said, the first thing we're looking for is bonding, and then that past performance.
So I have just to summarize it for the audience. I have priority bonding, the experience that the partner has, the contractor, the past performance, being able to prove that you were able to do it and do it well. If there was something that came up, I rarely recommend people to kind of come when they're responding to a solicitation to explain what happened, because you guys are going to know. You have a system that it's available to any contracting official to look at past performances. So there is a process that the Army Corps of Engineers has to evaluate everyone. It's a requirement, but at the same time, it's posted in a website that it's available to contracting officers. So they're going to know. It's easier to go and tell them, listen, whatever. It's important to communicate even from that, even before you even don't have the job.
Right.
You also said what was the ability for us to manage risk, and the communication is key. From what I hear for you, you want truth. You want truth and in a dialogue, not perfection necessarily, because it's not
No.
really available. It's not there's not perfection, and you want to basically make sure that we're protecting the budget and the cost and the schedule.
Yes.
So that I would say makes a really great relation and a great
Absolutely.
outcome.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that goes with anything in life, be it a job, a relationship. If there's no communication, we're going to have problems. If there's good communication, you may have problems, but the problems are going to be resolved a lot easier.
So, in terms of mission, and the Army Corps of Engineers exists, support also the government in its mission, military mission.
Yes.
How important is the construction industry for the safety of this country?
I think it is paramount because, like I said, first of all, we are building the Air Force and the Army's building. So we are the backbone of any military installation or Air Force base. So if we don't have people, if we don't have buildings that are where our military can train, our military can sleep, our military can learn, then of course that's going to put us at a huge disadvantage. But then also because we are stewards of all of the waterways within the United States, we are ensuring that commerce can go forth and that there isn't a slowdown in things getting from one end of the country to the next. So I think just ensuring that we can get the things that we need when we need them, that is paramount.
Yeah. And your role is so crucial. I mean, when I'm working for the Army Corps of Engineers, I feel like I'm servicing the country.
You are.
And that's how I feel. That's how it feels when you go into a Air Force base or in any military base. You feel like you are not with out there in combat, but you are laying the foundation for in the things that you can contribute for the other stuff to happen the way it needs to happen, and you're not right. It's all a team effort.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that because sometimes when I'm driving, like when I'm going south, what have you, and I go across a bridge and I see that core symbol, that castle, I was like, okay, we are here. And it's because the Corps it was there to ensure that bridge was put up, that I can drive across it and get to wherever it was that I'm trying to go. And then also when I see those ships sailing underneath, like, okay, the Corps did that because the Corps made sure that the passageway was clear for those ships to get through.
How does it feel? How long have you been with the Corps?
I have been with the Corps since 2004. So almost 18 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to work for such an entity?
It feels good. Sometimes when things happen, people say bad things about the Corps, but then I'm quick to defend the Corps because a lot of times I know some of the things that's kind of behind it. It's like, okay, well, the Corps didn't do this and the Corps didn't do that. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, we didn't because we didn't get the money. We can't do anything without money. But it's easier to let folks just kind of vent and say whatever it is that they want to say, especially when I know in my heart the Corps does great things all the time. And if we have the money, we'll go out and execute it.
Yes, I think that's true.
Yes.
So tell me, to give perspective about COVID. We have COVID, a pandemic, all hell breaks loose. Nobody knows what's going on, but the government the president engages the Corps.
Yeah.
For this mission. I mean, this is the trust that the Corps has developed. They didn't call, I don't know, they called it the Corps. So tell me a little bit about what was going on when COVID hit, that the Army Corps of Engineers was engaged to build hospitals in New York out of, and come up with solutions that were completely new we've never had to endure a situation like that. Can you tell us a story?
Because we are known for our construction. I'm getting ready to make up a word, construction ability. We can make it happen. We can build it. If you just tell us a little bit about what it is you think you want, we have great program folks that can give you a solution. We had an old commander who used to say that we're solutionaire, and we would come up with a solution for you. Give us the problem, we can fix it usually. And like you said, the president calling the Corps to step in to build those they call them alternative, not what they called them, but they were alternative sites for
Healthcare,
medical field.
hospital, medical.
Yes, absolutely. Just having the faith that we had program people that could lay out something, and we could hire contracting folks to build it to whatever spec we thought would help to contain COVID. That's awesome. It was. And I was so proud of General Simonite when he would be out there talking. As a matter of fact, one morning I was watching, I think, Good Morning America, and he was on there. And I actually took my phone, recorded him so that I could have it on my phone for later, because I was so proud to be a part of the Corps of Engineers. I'm like, yeah, that's my general up there.
That's and it's mine too. I love General Seminite.
Yes,
he's a trooper. He's amazing. He really
yes,
is.
He really is, and yeah. He's a people person. He could get he could meet you once and then come back later and call you by name.
No, he does.
Yes.
He knows me well. He knows me well. He's amazing. He really is, and he's a believer on small businesses also.
Absolutely. When we would get our goals, he would always be like, "Okay, can we stretch? Can I put 2% on everything?" And of course, we would be like, "Oh God, no! Please don't give us anything higher." But guess what? He give us that stretch goal, and we would meet it, because we wanted to make sure that we were doing good by small business, but also rising to meet his challenge.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a true leader.
Absolutely.
Leader.
And that is a sign of a good leader. They can stretch you, but you want to meet or exceed their expectation, because you don't want to let them down.
Yeah, a leader that is able to have a vision and put people behind it, to not because you want it, but they want it. They have bought into that mission and are excited to make it happen.
Absolutely.
In spite of the challenges, right? Actually, tell me attributes of an outstanding leader.
I think, well, because I'm a servant leader, and so I think that people that are willing to serve, that are willing to roll up their sleeves and do whatever it is that they're asking somebody else to do, that to me is what a good leader is. Okay, they put their heart into it. They trust in their people. Having trust and faith that your people can do it. And then if for some reason the people that you feel that could do it can't do it, be able to reach them and teach them, and not make them feel that, oh, I've let you down, or I'm not smart, or, because we all have to learn. And if I have a leader that will kind of take me in and help to mold me, that's awesome. Like I said, I'm a servant leader, and somebody that's willing to roll up their sleeve and do the work. That is wonderful.
Yes, I agree. So tell me, switching gears a little bit more. I know that we've gone through environmental changes, and the country has, hurricanes and environmental changes, and there's the talk. And cities sometimes are destroyed because of the environment, right? I know one of the focuses that the Corps has is to make our cities, everything more resilient. Can you speak a little bit about resiliency in construction?
Absolutely. No. Well, we have teams, we have ERDIC that are in the labs trying to see what would work and what will make our construction activities better. You mentioned that, we've had hurricanes and disasters that have basically wiped out cities. Tyndall Air Force Base is one that comes to mind immediately. Hurricane Michael literally wiped Tyndall Air Force Base off of the map, and we are in the process of rebuilding. And the Air Force is wanting to ensure that a Hurricane Michael, if it ever hit Tyndall Air Force again, that it wouldn't wipe it off the map. That whatever we're constructing, it will be the base of the future, and it will be able to withstand those hurricane force winds and flooding and what have you. But we are also engaging industry to give us their ideas as well. And I think that's what's taken so long for a lot of the projects on Tyndall to get put into action, because our industry partners are telling us that might not work and the way that we're proposing it. And so we're having to rethink how we are going to contract that work out. It's causing us to really take long and hard looks at what we've done in the past and what we need to do in the future.
Well, I agree with the concept of defining an outcome. What do you want? And working hard to find ways. This is where innovation comes. It doesn't
Absolutely.
mean if it didn't exist, it's because maybe we never asked the question, but the process of innovating sometimes takes time.
Absolutely. And I think the mother of invention is out of necessity. It's like, okay, it never happened before, so we didn't think about it. But now that it's happened, we need to think about it and we need to do better. Just like with Katrina, when Katrina hit in New Orleans, we didn't think that the city would flood the way that it flooded until it happened. And now that we know that's a possibility, then it's like, okay, we need to make sure that never happens again. So prayerfully, that won't happen in any city here in the United States ever again, or any country for that matter. I don't want to be selfish and hold all of the technology here in the United States. Definitely, I feel like we need to, if we learn something, we need to share something. And if something happens somewhere else, it's not because we didn't try to educate.
I agree. And this is actually one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, to help people mitigate some of the challenges or save them a step or two in give them some light so they don't learn the hard way,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's, I know General Seminar, it's always about paying it forward, right? If you have been blessed, give it back.
Absolutely.
Or give more.
Absolutely. And I know that you are a woman of faith, and when we give, we get back. My pastor is always saying, you can't be God's given, and that's so true. You can't. And I feel like if I pour out, somebody's going to pour into me.
Yeah.
And I have no lack.
It's creating from a place of abundance.
Yes.
Not from a place of lack. And it's also portraying the emotion that you're going to feel ahead of the experience of what you want. So being grateful already, that's what you're sending out there. I am grateful because whatever I believe that. Totally believe that. So let me go into another question. I am very curious about your nickname, LaShone.
Well, LaShone is actually, it's my middle name. I grew up being called LaShone. And
really?
when I went off, and when I went off to college, my mother was like, well, you need to use your real name. And I'm like, well, LaShone is my real name. Like, that's what you've been calling me all these years. She was like, no, you should go by your first name. So when I got to college, all of my stuff was Antoinette, and in business, it was Antoinette. When somebody called me LaShone, I either knew that they were a friend or they were family, and usually Antoinette was business. It was like, okay, either business or I was in trouble, one of the two, because my mother didn't call me Antoinette until it was Antoinette Lashone. Like, okay, Antoinette means I'm in trouble.
So who has been who one person, two per people, your mentors, the people who have influenced you the most in shaping the amazing woman that you are, professionally and personally? Who has had the greatest impact?
Well,
and why?
Personally, of course, it's my mother. She raised my brother and I. She was a single parent my father was with us until we were 10. And then after that, she was a single parent. And a lot of the things that I saw her sacrificing as an adult, I really appreciated even more. I appreciated it when we were growing up and I saw all that she gave to us. It was funny because we didn't have a lot, but all of my friends thought that my brother and I were rich. And I'm like, oh my God, that's funny. Saying, but mom made everything look easy. From a professional standpoint, my biggest mentor was Miss Pinson. Yeah, Miss Tracy Pinson. She was the director of the Army Office Small Business Program for over 20 something years. And she truly was, if I could be 1/10 of the small business professional that she was, I would be doing a lot. Truly embody small business. And she makes me strive to help small businesses because she was the equivalent of a 3-star general. But to meet her, you would never think that, because it was like, okay, anybody that walked up to her, she was going to talk to you. If there was a problem, she was going to try to help you solve it. And she was just great. She was a great communicator. And she was one of those people that you didn't want to let down ever because she was so giving. She gave a lot of herself. Of course, Miss Jackie Robertson Burnett is another one of my mentors. And I just talked to Jackie last month. And she's another one. It's like, okay, whatever you need me to do, Jackie, I'm going to do it for you. If she calls and asks, to this day, there's nothing she couldn't ask me to do because she is a true leader as well.
I agree. Tell me, we have about 10 to 11% women in our construction industry. Can you tell us what can we do to increase the number of women in our industry? What do you think we can do?
I think being out there, out front, like you are currently, that's a way to increase the industry. Having industry days just for women in construction or women interested in construction. It's amazing. Like I said, I've been in the industry now in the small business arena for almost 18 years now. And I've seen tremendous growth with women in construction. And I think it's because they're seeing people that look like them on the billboard or in the magazines. It's like, wow, that's a woman-owned construction company, and she's pretty. You don't have to look like a man to be in this industry. So I think having women that look like women that are out there doing the work, that can drive a bulldozer and still, like I said, raise the kids and do all the things that quote unquote women are typically charged with doing. I think that's a way to encourage women to come into the field.
I think you're right. It's about awareness. A lot of people don't know. People have a perception of what construction is.
Yes.
And they don't know that you can yes, you can do work in the field, but you can also, there's professional work related to marketing, accounting, legal, risk management. I mean, HR, there's so much. And I think a lot of it is awareness. So hopefully our effort here in Thriving in Construction can help with that.
Absolutely. No, it's funny when I see a woman in a hard hat, that makes me feel proud too, because I'm like, all righty, girl power.
Yes, and there's a lot of men out there that want to help and they want to be mentors. So it should be more encouraging than scary. I've had amazing mentors when I started that have really just nurturing that knowledge into someone that wants to grow and thrive is all they need. So I would really recommend people to continue to get exposed into the industry, like you said, maybe an industry day, maybe talking more about it. And I think it's happening.
And I think just like you said that you have a lot of male mentor companies that want to mentor you. I think if more women approach those male dominated companies to say, look, I'm interested in getting into the field, they will probably be more inclined to help a woman owned company than a male owned company. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that far, but but I think it's changing, and the only way we can, there's the potential of the industry needs people, and I believe women are really good in it. I really do.
Absolutely.
I really do. So let me see. Tell me about when you had to select what journey to take. You have been in the Army Corps for about 18 years. How do you get here? How did you get yourself in the contracting space? What it is like to be a contracting specialist, a contracting officer? What happened to you? How did you do that?
You know what? I kind of fell into contracting by accident. After I graduated from college, I moved back to Washington, D.C., where I'm from originally. And I went to have lunch with one of my girlfriends. And she was like, I know somebody who's looking to hire somebody. So I literally filled out my 171. That's what they used to be called. And I told her, I was like, I think I filled that thing out in pencil. And because they were like, okay, hurry up, fill this out so we can send you upstairs and you can interview. And I went and interviewed for a tech position in the Office of Contracting with the Securities and Exchange Commission. And before I could get back downstairs with my girlfriend, the director of personnel was calling my girlfriend looking for me, saying, okay, the lady who was over contracting wanted to hire me. So I literally kind of just fell into the job. And I came in as a procurement tech, and I worked my way up the acquisition career field, the contracting career field, as a procurement tech, then a contract specialist, then a contracting officer. Then came over to the small business side of the house. Small business is a subset of the contracting arena. But I tell folks all the time, we're contracting professionals that specialize in small business. So that's
Yes.
how I got into it. Like I said, truly by accident, but it was God's plan. And I'm glad that He led me there and that I grew up in contracting, because now I'm in a field that I absolutely love.
Contracting is very important for the whole process, and the way the corps has designed it, or the government, in order to release money and to make the process transparent. Tell us a little bit about the responsibilities of a contracting officer, because I know, depending on the level, they have a certain amount of money that they can approve a contract, and the accountability level that they have too, because they really are putting kind of their name on the line every time there's a selection, and for every decision that is made, budget related, they risk a lot.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, a contracting officer is the only agent within the government that bind the government. And when I say bind the government, a contracting officer is the only one that can obligate money for the government. So if a contracting officer signs off on something that's not right or not legal, whether they know that it's not right or legal or not, they are the ones that can go to jail. So when I was a contracting officer, I used to scrutinize everything, because I was like, look, I look good in orange, but I don't look good in prison orange. And I knew that, and I take that responsibility serious. I took it seriously, and I take it seriously even now that I'm not a contracting officer, because when I'm advising those contracting officials, I know that it's my advice and my guidance that's helping them to make the decision as to whether or not this acquisition is good to go. And if I'm not forthright with them, they could sign off on something that could cost them their career, that could cost them their freedom. So I take my advice and my guidance that I give to contracting professionals to heart, because I've been in their shoes.
Yeah, I agree. And this is why they are so protective and so careful when they make a decision and they select someone, because of the risk that is not only for the government, but for themselves.
Absolutely.
So,
I always was of the mindset that if I wouldn't spend my money on it, then I for doggone sure I'm not going to spend the government's money on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about small businesses, and I would like for you to shed some light as far as why is it that small businesses have such a high rate of failure? What is it that happens in the companies that, let's say, even in the 8A program? Why is it that people are not more successful?
I think because they are, I would say, with regard to the 8A program, if you're not successful in the 8A program, it's because you are not preparing yourself for the end of that program. You're just living in that moment. You have to put a whole lot into developing your company and growing your company in order to be successful. And if you're not, then once that program ends, then your company will probably end. If you are not always learning from year to year, then you're probably going to fail because things are always changing. And as soon as you think that you know everything that there is to know about your construction company, dealing with the government, like I said, things change all the time. I know for me, I have to go to the FAR because the regulations change all the time. And what we may have done 20 years ago, we're not doing anymore, or things that processes that worked 20, 30 years ago, they don't work anymore. So I think because companies sometimes feel like they've reached the top, the mountaintop, and they know all that they need to know, and they stop learning, then they stop developing. So
Yeah,
I think that development is key.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When I entered that program, I heard about the statistics, and I said, well, I'm going to create a plan so that I can exit and I can be successful, thereafter. The program, for people that don't know, it's 9 years and it ends, and you cannot go back into it. Many people don't get work. They just get used to only this type of work and the potential profit that they could have. But you're right, they don't invest in culture, they don't invest in people, they don't invest in solidifying the financials, they don't invest in everything that is necessary for you to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge reason why we're actually very passionate about mentoring small businesses. Mm-hmm. So we've created a program for that. But not everybody's coachable. I've also seen a lot of people that, or being in contact with people that think that just because they are 8A, they are entitled to, it's like a check. Right. And some people think, you can mentor me, like I have this, but that doesn't really mean much unless you know how to execute, and you want to partner with people that are in the right mind. To me, it's all about being able to partner with the right people. I think it's Warren Buffett that said, is partnering with a bad person is not going to give you a great deal. Like, you're not going to be successful, because in the end, the partnering is more important than those components.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is why the core is so picky about the selection of value over price, which
yes.
is really the model most of the time.
And I'm so glad that we have moved more to best value versus lowest price, because lowest price can get you in a lot of trouble, especially in the construction arena. Because it's like, if somebody's going to lowball you just so that they can make as much profit, but give you a shoddy product, then guess what? Not only is your name on that building that may be falling apart, but the Corps' name is on that building as well. So
I have a few more questions.
Okay.
One is related to the $1.3 trillion. How do you see the volume of which are the top two agencies that do you think are going to get most of that money?
Wow. That's a huge question. And I really don't have an answer for that. I know for the Corps and for the South Atlantic Division, a lot of the money that we will get will go into some of the existing projects that are already established and already started. But there will be some fresh upstarts on projects that we didn't know that we needed because we didn't have the money. So it's like, okay, now that we have almost, I call it pie in the sky. Like, if we could be kings and queens for a day, and these are all the things that we will want to work on. So I think that that's where we are as a nation. We understand that we need to fix all of this stuff. And now, like, okay, here's the money, go do it.
Yeah. And so the infrastructure piece, do you think the Corps will have a lot of involvement?
Yes.
And are you going to still focus a lot on small businesses?
Absolutely. I think we'll continue to focus on small business. Even if it's not at the prime level, we will definitely be encouraging increased subcontracting goal and subcontracting participation. A lot of the projects, because of the bonding requirement associated with it, will probably not be suitable for some small businesses, but there are some small businesses that have huge bonding levels. So I think that we will be able to increase our small business utilization, but it may not be directly as a prime relationship. It will probably come in the form of subcontracting relationship. But I tell all of my small businesses, if you think you can do it, go after it. Because we don't have a mindset that, oh well, we only want large business to do that. We don't have that mindset. Definitely not within the South Atlantic Division or the Corps for that matter. The Corps is a very small business friendly organization, and the Corps carries the Army, and the Army carries DOD, and DOD carries the federal government. So in this scenario, it rolls up. So the Corps is a strong advocate component for small business utilization, and we utilize small business even when some of our customers are not wanting us to use small business. We try to do the right thing most of the time.
No, I believe that's true. So it's been my pleasure to talk to you, to hear some of what's coming up as far as the federal dollars that are going to be approved soon, the budget that is going to be approved, and how that's going to impact the economy and the lives of many. And I'm very, very excited about, your journey on the side that it's not really what we do, but on the government side. I hope people have kind of gotten a little bit of a glimpse of what it is to be a contracting officer, and what is it that you guys do, and why is it so important, and what are you looking for in contractors like me, and other people out there. And I would like to hear some final words for people that maybe they are thinking about the construction industry, men or women. There's a huge need for labor force, not only on the field, but also professionally, right? Yeah. And so if you could encourage people to enter this industry, which I believe is a beautiful industry, full of challenges and opportunities to transform, even spiritually. So if you could shed some light, how do we get more people in our industry, whether men or women?
Well, like I said, I think having industry days, reaching out to going industry days at the colleges to reach children as well, not even at the college level, reaching children at the elementary, middle school, high school, and college level, encouraging them to look at fields that they don't normally think about. Of course, everybody growing up, either they want to be an athlete or they want to be a doctor or a lawyer, because that's what I think in the past, that's what they've seen on TV. But I think being in the construction industry, that's truly when you can build a building and say, I built that, or you have a house that a family is living in. That really is something that you really can't.
You can't replicate that. You can't replicate in something else. Because like it stays.
You're putting protection over somebody's head on a day-to-day basis, and it's little things that you don't even think about. It's like you just expect it to be there, but guess what? Somebody had to put it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's sometimes the little things we don't appreciate. But somebody told me, one of my mentors, she said that when we're eating a plate of food and we have our, we say grace, and it is more than just saying grace, because there is so much that has to happen for us to eat a plate of food. Right. And a lot of times we're in a survival or in a go mood, and we just eat so quickly without understanding it's not only the person that cooked it, but and the person that produced it, and the person that paid for it, and the person in the supermarket, and the person and the sun and the air. and the earth
and
and the
even
rain
and the plate that it's on.
and the plate that is on. It's
Yes.
so much, really. If you had to do all of that before eating every meal, we probably will be very skinny.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's just so much that goes into it. And like I said, you don't even think about all that went into in the construction arena, all that went into putting that building together so that you'll have a place to go to school, or so that you would have a place to lay down and go to sleep at night, or that hospital that you may need to go to, or the plant that built the car that you're driving. There are so many things that you don't think about.
And we don't, and that you don't know, and the level of sacrifices that people have. Sometimes people have terminal illnesses, and they still decide to show up, and
Absolutely.
and sacrifices. You sacrifice your kids. I mean, it happens in many other industries, but there is really more than to be appreciated and be grateful for. So
absolutely. So I would think that reaching out to the younger generation, to introduce them earlier to the construction arena and all that it could offer, I think that that's probably one of the best things that we could do. Yeah, reaching that younger generation and letting them see the endless possibilities that could evolve from a career in construction.
I agree, and it pays well too.
Yes, absolutely.
So, my friends, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You're so much knowledge and wisdom and joy and happiness. Just your smile is inspiring.
Oh,
so,
well, thank you.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate the spirit that you put in everything that you do, and how much you care about small businesses. Absolutely. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you. And I really appreciate companies like yours that come in and like do the job and represent well, because you make my job a lot easier. Yeah.
Well, you guys also have paved the way. So thank you so much. And I will see you at one of the next time events.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully it won't be that long.
No?
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you somewhere else sooner.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, it's been my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Thriving in Construction, the podcast with Patricia Bonilla. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support the podcast, please share it with others and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. If you have any suggestions or any related topics you would like us to tackle in our future episodes, feel free to reach Patricia by sending her a message through the website anchor.fm/thrivinginconstruction or find her on LinkedIn. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week here in Thriving in Construction, the podcast.